In this lesson, we're going to talk about rewriting equations. So if you have, let's say, the equation 2x plus y equals 10, and you need to rewrite it so that y is by itself, we need to look at what the different terms are in this equation. So here's one term, which is 2x. Another term that we have is a positive y. And the last term that we have is 10. So if we're taking an entire term and moving it to the other side, then we're just going to add or subtract it. We're going to do the opposite of whatever its sign is. So in the case of 2x, it's positive. So to get rid of it, we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. So this cancels out. And now we have to subtract 2x from the other side of our equation. And remember, when we say the other side, we mean the other side of the equal sign. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do the other so that our equation stays balanced. So now we have y is still on the left, right, because this all went away. So we just have that y left equals. Now, 10 and negative 2x, are they like terms? No, they don't have the same last name, or they both don't have the same variable after them. That means we cannot combine them. So I need to just copy them down as they are, and I always want to put the variable term first. So I'm going to put my negative 2x first, and then this is a positive 10, so we're going to write plus 10. So I have now rewritten this equation so that y is by itself. So we started out with 2x plus y equals 10, and an equivalent equation with y by itself is y equals negative 2x plus 10. So let's do another one that's similar. If we have 3x plus y equals 15, put a box or a circle around each of the different terms. Okay, so 3x is a term, positive y is a term, and then 15 is a term. And your terms are going to be separated by addition signs, subtraction signs, or equal signs. Okay, so we're going to put a line down the middle, down our equal sign, so we can clearly see the different sides of the equation. Now think, if my goal is to get y by itself, what do I need to get rid of? I need to get rid of 3x, and that's a term, so I'm just going to do the opposite to it. So if I have a positive 3x, I'm going to subtract it, and I'm going to subtract it from both sides. So now this is gone, and I am left with y equals. Now again, negative 3x and 15 are not like terms. I cannot combine them. So I'm just going to copy down negative 3x plus 15, because the 15 is positive. And I'm done, because y is by itself. Okay, so hopefully these are starting to make some sense. I think we'll do one more like this. If I have y minus 5x equals 7. Draw my line down the middle. Now I'm going to mark or separate each of my terms. So y is a term, negative 5x is a term, and 7 is a term. I want y by itself, so I need to get rid of this negative 5x. The opposite of negative 5x is plus 5x. And whatever I do to one side of my equation, I have to do to the other. Negative 5x plus 5x is 0, so that cancels out. So now I have just my y on the left side, and it's equal to, oh, I forgot this should have been 5x. Be very careful. You always need to carry your variables with you. So now when I go to simplify this, 7 and positive 5x are not like terms, so I need to just copy it down as it is, remembering to keep the variable term first. So y equals 5x plus 7 is the same equation as y equals negative 5x, or sorry, y minus 5x equals 7. It's just rewritten so that y is by itself. So what we're doing essentially is making it into slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's do one that might be a little bit tougher. So if we have 4x plus 2y equals 11. I need to get y by itself. That's the directions that I'm given. So first I see what my terms are. So I have 4x, I have positive 2y, and I have an 11. Just as I did before, I want to first move the terms that need to be moved. So if I get 4x away from the left-hand side, then I'm left with just the 2y there. And while that's not the end of the problem, it certainly gets me closer to getting y by itself. So the first thing I'm doing is getting rid of this 4x, and I'm moving it to the other side. And sometimes I like to offset them when I write it on the side where there are not like terms, like this. It kind of helps me remember that I'm not going to be combining them, as opposed to writing it right under the 11. Okay, so 4x minus 4x's cancels out, so I'm left with just 2y on the left side, and it's equal to negative 4x plus 11. So now you need to think back to solving equations, and think about when you have a coefficient, how can you get rid of it? Because on this side, it's not like I have any more terms left to move, because I need the y to stay there, but the 2 is part of the same term. So once I'm breaking apart a term, I'm not going to add or subtract to move them, I'm going to multiply or divide. So you need to do the inverse operation. In this case, 2 is being multiplied by y, so the inverse operation, or the way to undo it, is to divide both sides by y. So 2y divided by 2 is going to leave me with just a y, but now I have to do the same thing to every term on the right-hand side. So negative 4x needs to be divided by 2, and 11 needs to be divided by 2. Remember that when we're dividing or multiplying, we don't need to worry about like terms. That's only for addition or subtraction. So this negative 4x can be divided or broken up into two groups. Alright, so we said that 2y, 2 divided by 2 equals 1, so I'm left with just the y on this side, which is good, that was my goal. Now I need to divide or simplify. So negative 4 divided by 2 gives me a negative 2, and I still have my x, plus an 11 divided by 2, it doesn't go in easily, so you can just leave it as a fraction, 11 over 2. And I'll go over that black so it's a little easier to see. So we have y equals negative 2x plus 11 over 2. And 11 over 2 can't be simplified, so we just leave it as a fraction. Let's try another example like that. So 5x minus 3y equals 9. So separate your terms. I have 5x, I have negative 3y, and I have 9. Divide my equation in half. I need to take that entire term of 5x and move it to the other side. So to do that, I need to take it away from both sides. 5x minus 5x, or if I have 5x's in one hand and I take all 5 of them away, I don't have any x's left, so that disappears. But I do still have my negative 3y equals, and on the right hand side I have negative 5x plus 9. right? So now I don't have any extra terms left on my left-hand side, but I do still have a coefficient. And if my directions told me to get y totally by itself, then that means I do need to undo that coefficient. So what is the opposite of multiplying something by -3? Dividing it by -3. And when we divide it by itself, that leaves us with a coefficient of 1, so y is alone. Right? And remember, with division and multiplication, you must apply it to every single term. So I'm dividing -5x by -3, and I'm dividing 9 by -3. So -3y divided by -3 leaves us with just a y on the left-hand side. And then I have -5x divided by -3 minus 9 divided by -3 is a -3. And remember that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I am going to erase my two negative signs from that fraction because really it's just 5x over 3. And I'll trace this so it's easier to read. So y equals 5x divided by 3 minus 3. And this can also be written as y equals 5/3 x minus 3. So it doesn't matter if the x is in the numerator or if it's next to the fraction. It's the same thing. They're both equivalent. Okay, and we will do one more problem. So let's do a different number. Let's do 7y plus 3x equals 21. Alright, so by now you're pros at this. You are finding your terms and separating them and figuring out how to get y by itself. So at this point I'd like you to pause the video and try this one on your own, and then press play when you're ready to see the answers. Okay, so we are getting rid of our positive 3x. So we do that by subtracting 3x's from both sides. That cancels out. So we are left with just 7y on this side equals, put your variable term first, so -3x plus 21. My last step, divide by my coefficient. So I end up with y equals, negative divided by negative is positive, so 3/7 x, and then a positive divided by a negative is a negative, and 21 divided by 7 is 3. So we get y equals 3/7 x minus 3. I hope you found this video helpful.